two most successful clubs in FA Cup history. 13 times winners Arsenal, 12 times winners United. Only one of them can make it to round 5. What a tie-in prospect. Herrera again. Lukaku onto his left. Nice ball that. Sanchez round the goalkeeper. Sanchez! Brilliant. It had to be him. Alexis Sanchez rubs salt into Arsenal wounds. Lukaku's calling for it up the line.
He's not offside.
Lukaku. He's got Lingard and Sanchez in the middle. Lukaku. Jesse Lingard, 2-0. Oh, it's classic counter-attack. Lukaku involved in both goals. And Jesse Lingard, the scourge of Arsenal, makes it 2-0. Here's Iwobi. Arsenal desperate to get back into it before half-time. They might do now. Ramsey's run, great chance! And back in it, it's Aubameyang, who is free at the far post. They've got Rashford to his right, goes for goal himself. Martial, and that should be that. Martial with a clinical finish, and Manchester United have 3 at the Emirates. The FA Cup's most successful club, no match for Ollie's United.
Yeah, what a fantastic result it was in North London. And can Manchester United and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer continue their as late of perfect record here at Old Trafford this evening as we welcome Burnley in the Premier League? A warm welcome to everybody watching on MUTV, and a special welcome too to those watching via Facebook and YouTube. Here with me in the studio to cast his eye over proceedings, Ben Thornley. Ben, it can't be going any better than it is right now for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Everything he touches turns to gold, it seems.
Yeah, it's amazing. I don't think anybody, as much as we were obviously looking for an upturn in fortune, I don't think anybody could have envisaged the start that Ole Gunnar was going to have, and the impact that his arrival was going to have on the squad. And what we've seen has been sublime. And
it's not just the victories, it's the way we're winning now, the way we're playing, the attacking football, the confidence shown.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the talk has been about Ollie's infectious character and the way that has trickled down through everybody from the coaching staff to the playing staff. But I think you need to make sure that we don't lose sight of the fact that tactically, most notably at Spurs in the first half, the way that he's deployed the team has been fantastic, and it's no surprise that we're seeing the best of some of these players and why we're winning games and the way that we're winning them.
Yeah, he seems to have a great manner about him and a great way of interacting with the players and getting the very best out of a bunch of superstars here at Manchester United. Well, to get his views on the upcoming game, Stuart Gardner went down to the Aon training complex to speak to Ollie.
Ollie, first of all, most people had Saturday off, but you had it watching Burnley. Did you learn anything from the trip to
well, I think he was thinking more about Tuesday and getting through that game with no injuries and have fresh legs before he comes to Old Trafford. So, well, I enjoyed the day out, watch a game of football. But we know it's going to be a tough game against Burnley. We know what we're up against. They've turned the corner a little bit because the results have picked up, and I think maybe they saw an away game against City. That's a chance to give someone else like a run in the game, in the team. So didn't get too much information about them, I felt.
Obviously, a game against Burnley is a very different sort of challenge to away to Arsenal or away to Tottenham. So how much sort of work goes into the tactical plan for facing Burnley, which is clearly going to be different to
as much as, because every game you prepare the same for every single game. I think the analysis team, Kieran and Michael, they're doing a fantastic job preparing for every single game. They've we've got a great team in behind the team, and of course they've got the job of looking at Burnley. I wanted to see them myself, just so there's always one or two little things that you can spot that you can work on, and we will work today on a few things.
How important are sort of set pieces when you play a team like Burnley and not giving away free kicks around the area, things like that? Because obviously that's where they're strong, I guess.
They are very strong, and they are a physical team. You don't want to give them chances to put you under pressure too often. So of course we do look at that, but teams do have different strengths. I think the front two, Barnes and Wood, they're a handful. So of course we've got to be aware, because we'll probably be the team that will have the ball the most. But then on the counter-attack and, as you say, on set pieces, we've really got to be aware.
We've got 4 top-class strikers, which kind of mirrors the situation we were in 20 years ago when it was Cole, York, Sheringham and yourself. Do you face, therefore, the same sort of dilemma that the boss faced back then, trying to keep everybody happy and trying to give enough minutes to...
Well, so far it's been no problem, because we've got so many games. As soon as it just becomes one game a week, you might get a problem. We rotate, even during the games, when you can put Anthony and Rashi on for Alexis and Rom, that did a fantastic job at Arsenal. It's only going to help us, and the players they have been very, very good at staying ready and be ready when they get on.
We give you a bit of sympathy with Sir Alex, trying to keep everybody happy as he tried to do it back in those days.
Yeah, of course, and you know, there's so many times in his team talks when he doesn't. You can see he doesn't enjoy leaving players out, but that's just the name of the game, and you've got to be. How do you say? Decisive. You just got to make decisions and stick with them, and of course, the players who don't start, you've got to come on and make an impact. As I've learned quite often, because it can change your life.
What about the team spirit? Because we saw that little video doing around of the warm-up where Marcus kind of nutmegs Fred and everyone goes mad. It just shows maybe the kind of spirit that's around.
When you win games of football, you're always going to have a good team spirit around the place. But that doesn't just go with the players; it's the staff as well. You know, when you come in Monday morning, and it's well done, on to the next one. It's just don't dwell too much on what's happened, because the focus is on the next one. And I feel the whole club is thinking next game. But of course, you're enjoying winning.
Of course, also over the weekend, the 18s were 2 down against Liverpool, come back to win 3-2. Yeah. Mason scoring goals galore. Some of the other guys in that side doing very well. Are they going to give you a problem soon enough? Because they're all going to be knocking on the door, aren't they?
Yeah, of course they are, but that's great. That's what you want at a club like this, and we are looking to give a few of them minutes on the pitch. But then again, we got so many first-team players now. We got to make sure that we give them the chance at the right moment, because if you do it too early or in the wrong game, it might just ruin that experience for them.
Just a quick word on the midfield partnership as well. Obviously, all the strikers and the forwards get a lot of publicity, but Matic and Herrera have played pretty much every game under you. Do you think they complement themselves? They complement each other rather, as a partnership in the centre of...
You know, when you pick a team, you look for balance in a team, and it's not just the midfield or the forwards or the defenders. You look at the whole team, but of course those 3 in midfield with Paul and Emmanuel and Ander, they've done really well. But then we've got Fred and Andreas, we've got Scott. Felly's injured now, so we've got loads of players that can fit into that. At the moment, they've done really well, those 3.
Finally, is there any news from the squad at all? You mentioned maybe Smalling might be coming back.
Yeah, Chris is trained for a week now, so he's looking good. So it's about when do we get him into the team.
So Smalling on the way back. You saw him getting off the coach. We didn't see Anthony Martial getting off the team bus, so word on that when we get it. We will, of course, bring you the team news first here on MUTV an hour before kick-off. But Ollie began that interview speaking about the opposition. He went on that scouting mission to see Burnley, although they did make 7 changes for the City game from their previous league game, so they will change it up again. He wouldn't have learned much then, but he would have studied plenty of their videos in the build-up to this one.
Yeah, of course he will. He'll have done a thorough job, and I think what he said was exactly right. I mean, they got an absolute tonking off Manchester City, and their Premier League survival is more important to them than winning a trophy. To any manager, I would have thought, but certainly somebody in Burnley's position. They've done so well, and last season was the epitome of the hard work that Sean Dyche has put in with his side. They were ever so difficult to beat at Turf Moor. This season they got off to a bit of a bad start, well, completely, you know, a mirror opposite really. But as of late they have picked up. But the FA Cup wouldn't have been high on the list of priorities. No. But staying in the Premier League definitely is, and that's probably why the changes were made and why Ollie probably didn't learn as much as he thought he might.
Yeah, because bar the 5-0 hammering at City and the previous game they drew with Watford, 4 wins in a row in all competitions, so that does show Sean Dyche has kind of lifted them from the level they were playing at. Do you think some of it has to do with that Europa League run and being a bit tired, too many games, small squad, because it seems to be a criticism levelled at them? Yeah, and I also think that the fact that they didn't perform so well in it after playing so well last season in order to qualify for the competition, that would have knocked the confidence somewhat as well, and you could see that. But I've been really impressed with Sean Dyche. I'm impressed with him when he speaks to the press, and he has definitely lifted his players in recent weeks, and I'm not too sure that they're safe as of yet, no. But I do feel as though there are other teams down there that were probably not as good as Burnley, and he will do what he set out to intend to do, and that was to survive in the Premier League. Yeah, they're roughly getting about a point a game at the moment, which 38 points end of the season might be enough to keep them up. It will be this year. You reckon 38 will be enough this year? Yeah, well, I think, you know, unfortunately, Huddersfield probably don't look like they're going to make 20 points, so I reckon 38 might be a bit safe. OK, let's get predicted team news now. We like to do this part in the show when we get you guys at home to predict your Manchester United lineup, and we've done that with Karthik today. Karthik, over to you.
Hi guys, I'm Taufik Daud from Singapore. I hope you guys are doing well there. My prediction for tonight's lineup is De Gea will be in goal, right back will be Ashley Young, left back I'm going for Dalot, centre back will be Bailly and Lindelof, but I really hope Smalling gets to the bench today after his injury. As for midfield, I'm going for Matic, Herrera and Pogba. These three has been playing well together. The chemistry, you can see the way they defend together, the way they attack together, and I think for me personally, Herrera has been one of the best players we have this season. Fantastic. So he will run, I think, 90 minutes today too, but I got a feeling he will be subbed out probably for Fred or Herrera if we are leading the game. As for striker, I'm going for something different tonight. I'm going for Lukaku, Sanchez and Rashford. The reason why I'm going for Lukaku and Sanchez is because we got 2 big months coming up, you know, February and March. You know, we're gonna face PSG, we're gonna face Liverpool, we're gonna face Man City. I think it's a home game against Burnley will be good for Lukaku and Sanchez to probably get the minutes under their belt, probably get a couple goals, or you know, just getting used to the Ole system now we have, that Martial, Rashford and Lingard are doing well together. It will be good to see players rotate in these 2 months. And my brother and his wife Nabil and Mira will be watching the game later at Old Trafford. It's their first time there, and they are on their honeymoon. So happy honeymoon, guys. To Manchester United, I really hope you give us the massive 3 points and give us a fantastic, give my brother and the wife fantastic atmosphere at Old Trafford. See you guys, all the best, and let's go for the 3 points.
Yeah, thanks for that, Taufik. Well, what do you think of his team? Let us know on the Manchester United app or on Twitter. Use the hashtag MUTV. Ben, what do you reckon?
I don't think he can be far wrong. I reckon that maybe at home he's could probably go with maybe Andres Pereira, maybe Juan Mata might get a run. His team won't be that far away, but one thing's for sure, that they will play in exactly the same way as they have done recently, and that is to put the opposition defence under pressure with very, very quick counter-attacks. And it's important you don't give set pieces away against teams like Burnley, and the only way to do that really is to play football in their half, which is what United have spent the vast majority of the last 8 games doing.
Do you think Ollie will have one eye on that tough trip to Leicester as well, and think he needs to keep his squad fresh and rotate players a little bit?
Well, he's absolutely right that February and March are big months. We've got some big teams to play now, and we've got also Chelsea away in the FA Cup added into that mix.
Draw,
yeah, it is. Yeah, if we're going to win that, we're going to do it the hard way. But Leicester are a funny side. You know, they're the type of team that have beaten Manchester City, beaten Chelsea, and then very, very soon after go and lose at home to Cardiff. And we've had some tough games against Leicester in the past. And it was only a few years ago that they won the league with pretty much the same players, so it is going to be a tough test. They're a funny side, Leicester, and I'm sure that Ollie will make sure that these lads don't get complacent with this fabulous run that they've been on. Keep working hard, keep believing, and the results will eventually speak for themselves, the way the lads are playing, but he won't be taking anybody lightly.
No, 100% spot on. Now, on a more sombre note, this is the closest home game to the anniversary of the Munich air disaster. And on the 6th of February every year, fans gather underneath the Munich Memorial and sing the Flowers of Manchester. And we do that as well at home games. So Sam Homewood has gone outside to see what's happening out there and catch up with Reverend John Boyers, who's very much integral to these commemorations.
Manchester United fans will mark the 61st anniversary of the Munich disaster today, so I'm here with Reverend John Boyers. John, before we talk about what's happening today, off camera you were talking to me about your dad coming home and breaking the news to the family of the air disaster. Can you just tell everyone what that was like?
Yeah, I was brought up in Grimsby. Dad was a fish merchant on the fish docks there, and I remember him coming home about 5:30 one evening and saying to Mum, "Have you seen the placards?" Now the placards were sort of cardboard fixtures with headlines written on, and Mother said no, and he said, "Manchester United's been in an air crash and lots of them have been killed." And we had a little television, a 12-inch Cosa television at home, and we turned it on, and I remember these grey pictures from Munich, and I remember my mum saying, "Oh, those poor mothers, how do the mothers think when they've lost their sons, you know?" And Dad was thinking, well, we've lost some wonderful footballers. And Mum was thinking about their parents, really. So that was my first memory. And that was in Grimsby. But I was saying to Sam, really, this disaster, when it happened, affected not just the Reds, but it affected the whole of Manchester. It affected the whole of the nation, because Manchester United were in Europe, representing England in Europe. And it really significantly affected many, many people.
So, John, you've been doing this for 15 years now. How important is it, do you think, that generation after generation continues to remember what happened in the Busby Babes?
I think it's very important. It's very important because I'm getting old. I'm 70 in a couple of months' time. And I can remember it when I was 8 or 9, when Dad came home. But we are moving towards a generation that would have had no contact with the actual event itself. And it's really like, if we think of the class of 92, it's thinking, well, Ryan Giggs was lost, and Paul Scholes was lost, and David Beckham was lost, and Gary Neville was lost, and Nicky Butt was lost. To lose the guts of this team, we have to understand it in terms that we can readily appreciate. It's like taking 8 lives out of that class of 92. 8 lives out of the team that started to win, what was it, 93 and then 3-4 and beyond, The impact must be remembered, and the tragedy itself must be ever remembered here on Munich Day, the 6th of Feb, and on the nearest match day to it. I think it's a great thing that these guys are doing.
I think we all do. Reverend John, I'll let you go as you have a sermon to perform. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, and that was Rev just speaking just before the Flowers of Manchester was sung underneath the Munich Memorial. And it is a poignant moment for the club, and Pete Martin, who had to battle through traffic to get here on time. I know it's problematic at Manchester moment, but Pete sang in front of the gathered fans, and it's a special moment that we always remember, Ben, and it's good that the tradition continues.
Absolutely, and long may it do so, because it was such a terrible, terrible tragedy. And I think for the younger generation, I think John Boyers summed it up really well there by saying it would be like taking, you know, a plane carrying, you know, a Gary Neville, a Ronaldo, a David Beckham, a Wayne Rooney, and them losing their lives, just so that it can hit home what a massive, massive impact it had and what a terrible tragedy it was. And the fact that not just Manchester United, that the football world in general comes together to commemorate what a you know, horrendous time that people went through when the crash happened.
Yeah, and they were handing out these mementos as well with the lyrics to the song sung as well, so fans can get involved. If you missed out this time, please get involved and come down and support it next time if you can. Like we say, we always remember our magnificent history at this club, and that moment, perhaps arguably more than any other, shaped the Manchester United we know today. OK, let's move things back to today's game then. And Statman Dave has been given his expert analysis over why the game, or how the game, might be won or lost today.
Let's start with Arsenal's weaknesses. Ollie and his coaching staff will have been studying Unai Emery's side to work out where to hit them. And I want to start by breaking down the two teams' formations. United, of course, the blue counters, and Arsenal in the red counters. Unai Emery set up his side in a 4-2-3-1, whereas Ole Gunnar Solskjaer went for his big game tactics. That's the diamond in midfield, 4 at the back and 2 up front. The advantages that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had with his system were as follows. First up, when Arsenal attacked with both of their fullbacks, there was massive space for United centre-forwards to move into and get behind their defence, or alternatively, if we're looking at a more central area. Again, the 4-2-3-1 is a dominant formation in the Premier League, but given that Ollie played a diamond, this is a natural overload. So your attacking midfielder and your 2 outside central midfielders create a 3v2 in central midfield. This is vitally important for how United got their first goal. Again, Unai Emery's side defend in a very compact nature. So, for example, if United are attacking down this wing, the 2 defensive midfielders will sort of go over in unison and defend that flank. What this meant for Manchester United is there was this huge space in behind this defensive midfielder, and that's what was exploited for the first goal. Not only that, but they've got that attacking midfielder in there as well that's going to be a real threat for Unai Emery's side. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer getting the better of the Spanish tactician with the diamond. Now let's take a look at that in action. That midfield diamond versus Arsenal's 2 defensive midfielders. United's team had a lot of rotation in position, but it caused Arsenal so many problems. Let's roll the clip for the first goal. There's going to be a number of things that we're going to take a look at of how this goal was scored. First up, Arsenal's 2 defensive midfielders. I'm going to highlight them for you so you know where they are. First up, Granit Xhaka out on the left wing, defending against Jesse Lingard, but also Lucas Torreira. Man United rotated positions, as I mentioned. We've got Ander Herrera, we've got Lukaku, and we've got Sanchez as the diamond at the moment. The big thing here is that the space that United will attack is behind Torreira. That's where the playmaking will come from, and the goal is going to come from a great run from a deep position in between the 2 centre-backs. But it all comes from this tactical matchup that Solskjaer's created in central midfield. Let's roll the clip on a little bit further so we can see Lukaku getting in behind Torreira. Again, Torreira gets just drawn into the ball. That split second opens up this opportunity for Lukaku to get his head up and play an absolutely exquisite through ball. Just going to simply step back and you can watch this goal in action. But that all comes from the diamond. The diamond versus those 2 defensive midfielders in midfield for Arsenal. Big praise for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer needs to come for this tactical evolution of Manchester United.
Yeah, cheers for that, Dave. Interesting to see someone's view on where that game was won and lost, but it was a terrific performance overall, wasn't it?
It was. Sorry.
Ben's laughing. You can just hear David May outside the studio there. He's going to come in here with Mandy in a minute, take you right up through until kick-off.
Apologies.
Yeah, apologies for that. Maisie, behave yourself. He rarely doesn't he?
No.
But yeah, it was a good tactical battle, wasn't it? And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has proven for a second time, like he did against Spurs, he's more than just a manager who puts his arm around players and gets the best out of them that way.
I said it to start with that Ole Gunnar has not just raised the mood here and with his infectious personality, but tactically, I think he's been absolutely tremendous.
Yeah.
And I said most notably the game against Tottenham when he left Marcus Rashford and Anthony Martial high, and they just couldn't cope with the spaces. He did exactly the same, and this time it was Romelu Lukaku that managed to play the ball in for the first one, play the ball in for the second, from very, very similar positions. And it doesn't matter who he seems to be playing up there; they have an impact.
Yeah. Okay, Ben, you're going to leave us shortly and go off and continue your pre-match hospitality. I'm going to go around the ground and see who we can find today to speak to and build up to kick-off. And coming into the studio in a minute, Mandy will be with David May. Before that happens, so let's go back outside the ground and find who Sam Homewood has spoken to.
Thanks, Sully. Now, we're outside. It's Manchester United Burnley. It's absolutely freezing. Can Ole Gunnar Solskjaer make it 7 wins out of 7 in the Premier League? Let's ask these guys. Guys, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, 7 wins in 7 Premier League games. Is he going to do it? Apparently, you're going to talk. Go.
I'm Portuguese.
And that's lovely. I'm English. You enjoy the game. Don't worry about it. You. Hello.
Hello.
Do you think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer can be the first manager in Premier League history to win 7 games on the bounce?
Yeah, I think he'll probably do it, yeah. Yeah, he has a good chance.
Pretty relaxed about it, but basically confident. Let's ask these guys. Guys, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, 7 games, 7 wins. Is he going to do it? Go.
Yeah, 100%. He's
nice.
He's confident. He's going to be the one. Hopefully we keep him during next season as well. He'll be brilliant.
Super. Everyone else was really boring. Don't go anywhere. Tell us more thoughts on this game. Who do you want to see playing?
I'd love to see Pogba have a brilliant game.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind Lukaku starting. Maybe Sanchez again. I think they linked up well in the FA Cup. So it'll be good. Lukaku will get a hat-trick easily.
Solskjaer's been talking about the importance of having 4 strikers all happy in the squad. For you, do you see it as 2 pairs of Lukaku, Sanchez, Martial, Rashford, or do you just think whoever plays, it'll be great?
Yeah, no, whoever plays, it'll be great. It's good to have quality in depth. That way there's plenty of rotation, plenty of people coming off the bench to provide plenty of firepower, so it's all good.
Brilliant. That guy's superb. Thanks very much. Now we're going to the first half of our exclusive interview with Mick Phelan.
It felt quite normal to me, really. I was nervous the first day coming in because I didn't really know what to expect. I drifted away a little bit from the football club, taking on other little adventures. But once I walked through the doors at Carrington again, it felt as though I belonged here a little bit, and 6 years had gone by, or we're going into the 6th year, but it felt like yesterday.
And the upturn has been dramatic, hasn't it? The place feels happier, lighter. What needed to happen?
Well, I've got this attitude to life which is quite free and easy and disciplined when it needs to be, but you just bring a smile on people's faces and try to tell people of the adventures you've been on and the success you've had and what it takes. It doesn't happen immediately, it doesn't happen overnight. It's something you have to work at, but you need people to make it happen. People, who enjoy being in this environment, who enjoy coming into work. I think that's massively important. If that is happening with the staff, it translates itself to the players, and then the players get on that football field and really look forward to playing and showing their abilities to the huge amount of supporters that we have around the world.
I mean, you've been here during some of the most successful times in our club's history, so you've worked with some incredible players.
Yeah.
How much talent do you see in this group of players?
Players are talented here because they're here for a reason. They're selected to be here. Now once they are here, it's up to them to embrace Manchester United, the ethos, and embrace everything around this football club, both inside it and outside it.
You've worked with Ole before, obviously as a coach and a player. It's slightly different now. How's the dynamic working out there?
I think it's working okay. We have, it's not just myself and it's not just Ole. There's Kieran McKenna involved in there. There's Michael Carrick now learning his trade. So the balance is good, the feedback is good, we get on okay together. It's a nice split age range, so we all have different ideas. We talk a lot, we communicate a lot, and it's quite refreshing, and it takes me back a little bit into the processes we had before, which was a little bit of youth, a little bit of experience, a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of extra dynamic in there. I think Michael now is progressing really well. He's finding his feet in the organisational side of it. He's got a great opinion on the game, and he's been an exceptional player. Kieran has been, you know, a player outside of this football club. Then he's come in and coached in the academy, so he knows the youth side of things. He's been here a while now. He's progressed on, and he's bringing all those methods he's got to the fore now with the first team, and it's exciting. It's enthusiastic. And really, you know, Ollie sits there at the top of the tree, and I hover in between, making sure everything happens the way I feel as though Manchester United should work.
And you can see more of that exclusive interview later in Match Day. But we can go to the tunnel now to speak to Stuart Gardner and get the team news. Stuart.
Well, there are 5 changes from the Arsenal game. I suppose the thing that leaps from the page is there's no Anthony Martial, who has picked up an injury, and he's not involved tonight. And a first league start since right at the start of the campaign in August for Andreas Pereira. So let's have a look at the lineup. Of course, David De Gea returns in goal for United. Young, Lindelof, Jones and Shaw making up the back 4. Andreas Pereira with Matic in the centre of midfield. We expect Pogba to play just ahead of them. Mata, Rashford we expect to be wide, with Romelu Lukaku keeping his place after being so effective against Arsenal up front. Of course, he could go wide, but we expect it to be Mata, Lukaku, Rashford. The bench, well, Romero, Sanchez, Chris Smalling back, hasn't played since early December, Jesse Lingard, Fred, Dalot and Ander Herrera. So an interesting team selection, 5 changes from the Arsenal game. Burnley, it's a 4-4-2. Tom Heaton wants of United, of course, in goal. Phil Bardsley also wants of United. He got Marcus Rashford sent off, you might remember, back at the start of the campaign. Tarkowski, Mee and Taylor making up the rest of the back 4. Midfield, Hendrick, Westwood, Cork and former United youngster Dwight McNeil. Then up front, Chris Wood and Ashley Barnes. That is the Burnley lineup, 4-4-2. Burnley coming in their best form of the season, 3 wins and a draw from their last 4 games. Well, we're going to say goodbye now to our viewers on Facebook Live and YouTube. Thank you very much for joining us. But now we're going to continue our build-up on MUTV with Mandy Henry as we look ahead to Manchester United against Burnley. The 2 most successful clubs in FA Cup history. 13 times winners Arsenal, 12 times winners United. Only one of them can make it to round 5.